Welcome to today's episode of DemPod, where we discuss one of the most timely issues facing our generation: democratic participation of young people. Participation in the democratic life in any community is about more than voting or standing for election. Democratic participation can take many forms, from voting in elections to joining community groups, engaging in protests, and even taking part in online advocacy. Young people, as emerging leaders and stakeholders of the future, play an important role in this participation. Historically, the inclusion of young people in the political process has been a slow progression. In many countries, youth were not seen as legitimate political actors until well into the 20th century. In the United States, the voting age was only lowered to 18 from 21 in 1971, a response to the Vietnam War and the growing pressure of young-led movements. Similar trends were seen across the world as young activists demanded voice in shaping their futures. In Albania, democratic participation was virtually non-existent during the communist regime that ruled until the early 90s. The collapse of this system gave rise to a new wave of young engagement, particularly during the country's transition to democracy. In Albania today, young people's democratic participation is a mixed picture. On the one hand, there are active youth movements working to address social issues, from environmental causes to human rights advocacy. However, many young people also express frustration with the political system, feeling that their voices are not truly heard. Voter turnout among youth is often lower than that of the older generations, and there is a prevailing sense that politics is distant or corrupt. Internationally, the situation varies. In some countries, young people are leading the charge on critical issues such as climate change. Movements like Friday for Future, taken by young activists like Greta Thunberg, have shown that youth can mobilize globally to demand actions from politicians. And on the other hand, many young people still face barriers to participation, whether due to lack of education, political instability, or restricted rights. How can we, as podcasters, contribute to addressing this issue? Podcasting has become one of the most accessible and powerful tools for amplifying voices, particularly for young people. It's personal, it's direct, and it allows for deep, thoughtful conversations that are often missing from traditional media. Internationally, there are several examples of podcasts addressing youth engagement and democratic participation. For instance, the podcast Civics 101 explores the basics of government and democratic processes, making them accessible to younger audiences. Similarly, Pod Save the People brings youth activists and influencers to the table to discuss pressing political and social issues, encouraging young people to get involved. By creating podcasts that focus on democratic participation, we can explore stories of local and global activism, highlight the challenges young people face, and offer resources for those looking to get involved. We can invite guests, activists, politicians, and even everyday young people who are passionate about making a difference, creating a diverse and engaging dialogue that resonates with our audience. We can invite guests, activists, politicians, and even everyday young people who are passionate about making a difference, creating a diverse and engaging dialogue that resonates with our audience. Another approach is to provide practical tips on how to get involved, from how to register to vote, to starting petitions, or joining activist groups. Finally, we can combine podcasting with social media to extend the reach of our message. Platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter are essential for engaging younger audiences. We can create interactive campaigns that encourage youth to share their thoughts on political issues, participate in challenges, or even create user-generated content that we can feature in our episodes. Podcast networks can also help amplify these voices by connecting us to like-minded creators, growing the conversation on a global scale. So, in today's episode, we've explored the history and importance of democratic participation among young people, and how podcasting can be an innovative tool to address this issue. The stories of youth in movements, past and present, remind us that young people are not just the future, but they are the present. By using our platforms to raise awareness and engage others, we can help build a more participatory and just world. Let's continue the conversation and find ways to inspire action. Thank you for joining me on DemPod. Until the next time, let's keep raising our voices for change.